Okay, so we are live on YouTube. I'm not saying goodbye to Marissa today because she has something to do. But I want to say welcome to everyone. It's the Boozy Book Broads. We're here. We're here with our amazing guest, Tiff Marcelo. Hi. Okay, I'm going to run through all of our housekeeping real quick, and then we will jump right into our amazing discussion. So first, I want to start off by saying thank you to Love Sweet Arrow for hosting us like they do every month. We're so excited. Please head to lovesweetarrow.com to find out about more events, to order books. Tiff, you sent book plates, right, to Love Sweet Arrow. So if you pre-order her book that we're going to talk about tonight, you will get a signed book plate. Very, very fun. Marissa, let's go to you with the merch of the month because you have it to display for everyone and it's very exciting.
All right, apologies for loud noise. I have myself muted so you wouldn't hear it. It's my washing machine at the new house. So we have our Equal Opportunity Orgasms mugs.
Hold it closer to the camera. Yeah, it's super cute. And this is a direct result of something we chatted about at Boozy Book, the very first Boozy Book Broads with Rosie Dannon, because that is something that came up in our discussion, and she has kind of used that since then about equal opportunity orgasms. So you've got mugs, there's also stickers. Awesome. So those are currently for sale, but for the mug specifically, there's a discount that you can only find out here. And what is it? Angelina will put it in the chat.
All right, it is 15% off through the end of the month. Automatically comes off in store, and then if you go online, it's BBB March discount. So Boozy Book Broads March discount.
Yay! Thank you so much for demonstrating, for being our Vanna White tonight. Yes, I'm so excited about that. I'm gonna have to order one. But yeah, so as we said, you do get a 15% off discount on that mug specifically. That's going to be super fun. Get it while you can. Angelina is our room mom tonight, so she is going to be monitoring the chat. And yeah, so we will be having lots and lots of fun. I see my mom is here, everyone. So say hi and say lots of embarrassing things. It's going to be great. But yeah, I want to go ahead right now and introduce Tiff Marcelo. So Tiff, why don't you introduce yourself and then tell us what you're drinking tonight.
Okay, so I am Tiff. I am a mom of four. These introductions are always like, what am I? So I'm a mom of four. I'm a military spouse. In fact, we're going to be moving in like 2 months. We just found out. And I'm a contemporary romance, women's fiction, and soon to be young adult author. So excited for that. And yeah, and I'm drinking a vodka spritzer.
Awesome. Yummy.
So what I did is that I infused all of these fruits with vodka and mango juice, and then I added lime bubbly. Yeah. And then it's just that's what I'm drinking. So I'm enjoying it because this week has been a long week, as everybody knows. Thank you so much for having me. First of all, this has just been amazing. You guys are so great. And of course, and all of the things that are going on in the world, to include, the increased rise of Asian American violence. And so this has been a long week. I'm sure that we're talking in different spaces, but this drink is my reward for for one of these weeks. So I'm just so glad to spend Friday with you guys. You guys have been like the beacon of light for this week for me.
Thank you. Well, cheers to you for joining us, and cheers to everyone who is watching at home. So thank you for joining, everyone. All right, Angelina, what are you drinking tonight?
I am drinking the very delicious Vodka Spritzer. I made mine with orange juice, Topo Chico on top, and I ran out of vodka, so this is a rum. It's a rum spritzer, and it's quite delicious. Great drink Tiff. It was very, very beautiful. I'm going to be a little bit distracted as the room mom.
Yeah.
I'm like, never, it's, you like do this all the time and you make it look seamless. And I'm like, this.
Multitask. That's why we call it the room mom, because you are like multitasking.
And I'm like, I feel like I got like 5 toddlers to watch and I can't, maybe I shouldn't drink. Like, so anyway, Tiff, I'm so happy you're here. And if I'm like writing or typing, it's because we're the chat, and my absolute devotion is to you though. Devotion to you, paying attention to our lovely viewers. So
right,
thank you. But yeah, great drink, Tiff. Thanks so much.
Melanie, what are you having to drink tonight?
So I'm doing a riff on Vodka Spritzer. So I was kind of lazy. Instead of infusing my own, I have it's a ginger lime
Yum.
vodka, and you can tell I really like it.
Yeah. You might as well have used it. You should have just threw it all in there.
At the end of the Boozy Book Broths episode, it may be all gone, and it's basically a Moscow Mule because I'm putting it with some ginger beer. So yeah.
Love it. Yeah. Awesome. Everybody, per usual, at the beginning in the live stream chat, please tell us what you are drinking and comment. Angelina's gonna be monitoring, like we said, and we will read through comments. We will incorporate questions where it makes sense, but also be sure to ask questions, and we will save those also for the end. I am drinking very basic. I put in, it's like Kirkland, like from Costco vodka, you know, like the giant one. It's my favorite one. And then some LaCroix on top, and then strawberries and blackberries. Very simple.
Wonderful. Yum.
It looks beautiful though.
I mean, it doesn't, it loves.
It's so pretty.
Yeah, thank you.
It does look fancy.
All right, so we're gonna start off with our shots. These are our icebreakers. We're gonna go around in the same order that I just called. So Tiff, Angelina, Melanie, me. I'm pointing on my screen. And so the first one is, are you in a book club, or have you ever been in a book club over the years? So we'll start with you, Tiff.
Yeah, I've been in a book club for about 15 years. I am currently in one that has moved online, and this is a group of like 5 ladies that were just serious book clubbers, like read the book and really discuss it, come with questions kind of thing. And then we talk about rest of the family. But I've been in all sorts of book clubs, some where we like bring all our kids, and others where we don't talk about the book at all, and we just have a drink. And then I was in one book club where it was like thematic, like every month, like someone brought it, you know, just decoration and matching food and all of that stuff. So
that's fun.
Yeah.
I love that. I'm gonna like I'm gonna course correct here. We did not even say your book title.
Oh.
In a book club far away. Marissa did put it in the chat, but I wanted to make sure we actually said it and before we started talking about it. So there we go. Okay, Angelina, have you been in a book club, or are you in one?
I am not in one. I was in one for a short time in my old neighborhood. I was in it for like a year or two. But the thing is, they refused to read romance. And I was very like, you know, just morally opposed to any book group that refused to read romance books. And so I didn't stay all that engaged. That being said, there was a member of our romance group who was very, who didn't seem like she would ever enjoy romance, and she has been one of my most supportive fans, newsletter engagers, like just totally so happy for me and so supportive. And it was one of those things that when I first got responses in my newsletter, I was just so thrilled and loved it, and she just embraced my books. And so like there was definitely a level bit of me like assuming certain things, and then you know, it was really, really lovely. So I should have probably given the book club a little bit better of a chance.
I do. And you know, and I think romance novels offer so much, like there are so many different parts to them, especially that they would make for a great book club discussion. So Melanie, have you been in a book club, or are you currently in a book club?
Yeah, I've been in book clubs, a bunch of them, especially like when my girls were little and I was in like a mom's group.
Yeah.
A lot of times we would form book clubs, and it was interesting. So that the mom's book club, we actually did a pretty good job of reading the books. There have been other book clubs where it was really just about getting together to get out of the house, to go for dinner and to have some drinks. And the books often got, you know, set to the side, or So one of the book clubs that I was in, we ended up, we were at an Italian restaurant for dinner, and there was like a bomb threat, and we and we had to
Oh my
all
gosh.
we had to be evacuated from this Italian restaurant, this little tiny Italian restaurant. Very hot firefighters, by the way, who were evacuating us. But
You
the
guys
reason I'm
called the
telling
bomb threat. You did it.
the reason why I'm telling this story was because I mean, this is scary, but it's also like, so it was like one of those mafia romances where it was like the one of the waitresses working there, it was her boyfriend, there was some very shady stuff, and
Wow.
it was a fake threat. So that was, of course, it's scary and it's horrible, but it was also like all this, like, you know, the owner of the restaurant was like, don't worry about it, he's like offering us all this free food and free wine.
I love that. You kind of jumped the gun. I'm going to ask a question about memorable book club, like memories, but that's okay. I love it. You get extra credit.
Yeah, I think that you won already.
Yeah, so I'm in a bunch of book clubs, like still, even throughout the pandemic. When I was living at home, my mom was in a book club, and so I kind of just joined it. And I think they've been meeting since like the early 2000s, and I have off and on, but I really have pretty consistently been in it since then. So that's been fun. Love Sweet Arrow before the pandemic had 2 pretty regular book clubs, or 3 actually, but I went to 2. I hosted one, and mine was, I thought, very fun idea, where it was a no book club, where we all just got together and talked about what we were reading, because I think as romance readers, we read so much, and it's like, you want to talk about it. So it was every other month we did that. And then I was also a part of the book club hosted by Jen Reed's Romance, where we all read the same book and we talked about it. And then Fresh Fiction has a weekly virtual book club right now. And it's a little bit smaller scale, and you get to interact with different authors, and it's a lot of fun. So yes, I think maybe I have too many book clubs. Is that a thing? No, it's fine. Okay, our next shot, and I think this is going to be a good question to ask all of our viewers at home, is to write, what do you think is a book that every book club should read? So Tiff, you get to start.
Yeah, so this was really super hard, right? But I'm going to go with my most recent, what I've read the last year, and I would say Little Secrets by Jennifer Hillier. It's a thriller. Okay. She's a Filipino-Canadian author, and her thrillers are like banana pants, also like full of tropes. So the starting scene is the main character is holding her child through what's that busy marketplace in Seattle?
The Pikes.
I believe so. And you know, she was with her child, and she like go for 1 minute, and the child is gone. And the child is stolen. And so that's, you know, the story begins, that's like the prologue, and the story begins like a year later, and how this woman like comes out of this sadness, but then finding, you know, little crumbs that lead her back to her son. So it's kind of crazy. It's so well written, but it's like, I would think it's even more women's fiction thriller, because it really has those emotions in there. So I would say in the last year, that's probably one of the things that I would suggest.
I love that. That sounds great. I'm going to start a list. I'm excited. All right, Angelina, what about you?
I always, if I'm in a book club, I always recommend Jane Eyre, because generally it's been years since people have read it. And I fundamentally believe it's a feminist book, even though a feminist book was written in a contra against it. But I still fundamentally believe it was just this man who fully appreciated a woman exactly how she was, who did not change herself for the man, who had to be consistent to who she was and who her beliefs were, to the point of like, you know, starving on the moors kind of. But I think it's a feminist book, and I think it's just such a great, I always, when I join a book club, I'm like, if we don't get to read this, then I'm out. No, I don't. But I feel like it's an important book, so I always recommend Jane Eyre. I love Jane Eyre.
I love it too. Melanie, what about you? What is your book club book that you, or a book that every book club should read? I think Melanie may be frozen.
Oh, she's frozen. Oh, there she is.
I don't know if am I frozen now because you guys have all been frozen for me, and I'm trying to figure out if it's my hint.
You're back. You're back.
Okay, good. So the book club book that I would pick. This is really difficult, and I knew the question was coming, and I still couldn't decide. And we used to do that in our book clubs, like where we'd rotate who gets to pick, and it's like, but like, what is like the one book you think everyone should read, or that I think a good book club pick is one that always will trigger a good discussion.
Yeah,
and I'm just like, oh, because, I don't know. I can't pick. Like, that's
so hard.
Too, because like when it's time for my turn to pick, I'm like, I don't know which one I want.
Okay, that's okay. You can pass. It's fine.
Even those preparation, Melanie.
I know.
It's Friday night, y'all. We're supposed to be drinking, relaxing. It's not a quiz.
Actually, well, so I will tell you the book that I'm currently listening to. I'm finally getting to it, and all the hype. And congratulations, by the way, to this author for becoming a New York Times bestseller this week. So I'm finally reading Get a Life, Chloe Brown, and it is so fun and it is so charming. And whenever a book gets so much hype and so many people talk about it, you have this fear. Like I have this fear of like, I do not want to start this book because I'm afraid, one, my expectations have been raised so high, it will never live up to them. And two, like, just this kind of, this almost like, all right, you're not going to live up to the hype, Yeah. And it really did. So I think that actually would be a good book club suggestion because, it is so popular right now. There is a lot of material in there to discuss and to analyze, and what makes this book work for so many people. And that, if someone does love it, you've got two more you can go and read.
Yeah, and
I'm really loving it. I'm only in the first, I think I'm on chapter 5 or 6. So the cat scene happened within the tree.
Yeah.
I guess I'd recommend that one.
To support your pause, the conversation in the chat was going and going, and then I asked, like, what book would you all pick? Crickets. No, it's hard. It's hard to pick. It's hard to pick a book.
It's like when you're, and I can't say I was put on the spot because I knew ahead of time, but I was like, oh, I'll think of it, and then
Megan Bacalao Berkler said my favorite book club books are the ones that I wouldn't necessarily have picked up myself.
Yeah,
maybe paranormal or suspense. I think that's a good point. Like,
it is a really good point.
You can't think of them. It's what somebody else has offered. Danielle,
I think that's why book clubs are so helpful, because they do push you out of your reading box, and they do, the book clubs where everyone has to take turns and pick something, they do force you to read stuff you might not normally have picked up. And in my wild mafia Italian romance book club, I got some friends hooked on Amanda Quick books. They had never read them before, and then I picked one randomly for a book club, and they were hooked. So
I completely agree, and that actually ties into the book that I'm gonna say. And I know my mom does watch. I saw her say hi, so I'm gonna talk about her. But there was this one book, the book that none of us really wanted to even read was Wicked by Gregory Maguire.
Oh yes,
it came out, and that book, I think almost every book club since like 2005 or whenever that book came out, it comes up at book club. It was my mother's pick, and she did a good job. We still talk about it, but it offers different perspectives. It gives a whole different look at the Wizard of Oz and who was on the right side and everything like that. So that is my pick. Okay. Our next question, since also in your book tip, a big part of it is about friendship, and specifically female friendships and everything that comes along with it. So I thought it would be fun to talk about your favorite drink to share with friends. It could be alcoholic, non-alcoholic, whatever you want it to be. So Tiff, you're up.
So when we used to have book clubs in person, I like to bring Moscato in the blue bottle. It's I don't know. I think it's like risata, moscato. Anyway, whatever. I just go to the blue bottle and I just pick that up, and it's usually gone in like the first round. It's like the first thing. But that's got to be my favorite. And of course, coffee. Coffee is always something that is always in that, that little. I have that thing going on with the big carafe whenever we have book club when we used to meet. But yeah, that's it.
I agree. Okay, Angelina.
I like to make, I've talked about it on Boozy Book Rod before, but the Texas Martini is essentially a margarita, but up with olives in it. And it's totally delicious. And it just seems to like, people are surprised by it. So it's fun to make.
Sounds surprising.
Yeah, it is. It's like the olives act like the salt because they're briny, so they act like the salt on the rim. But it's just it's all the ingredients of a margarita. You shake it up and you serve it up in a martini glass, and so they look cool and they're sweet, but there's an olive in it. They're a surprise to people. So yeah, I'll make you one, Tiff, next time.
Please.
In the after time, I'm gonna make you a Texas Martini. But yeah, that's my favorite.
All right, Melanie, what about you? Melanie.
Oh, the standard book club is wine. Gotta bring wine. Multiple bottles. You gotta have a variety. So I will usually show up two-fisting it with 2 different bottles of wine.
Awesome. Yes, that doesn't surprise me at all. I agree, Tiff. I was gonna say coffee. Like I just remember, even like in high school, you would like go to a cafe and just drink like cheap coffee for hours and just talk with your friends. Like that's what it made me think of. So, all right. Okay. And then I want to end with kind of a fun pop culture shot. So let's go through these quickly, not too much chit chat because we do have a full discussion to get through too. But what are some of your favorite movies or TV shows that feature friendships? So Tiff, let's have you start.
Movie Waiting to Exhale. Older movie, Mystic Pizza. And then I would say in general, Dawson's Creek and Felicity. That's like my fave, like kid, but not really all female, but Yeah,
no, those are good picks. Okay, Angelina.
Yeah, I was really thinking hard on this. What's one of my favorite is Knight's Tale. Like it's so unconventional and they all meet on the road and it's such an instant chemistry of all of those characters and it's so powerful. Like what they created in that chemistry between them is so powerful. I just love that. I love that friendship so much in that movie.
Yeah, that's like the movie, if it's on TV or if I see it like on Netflix or something or wherever it's available, it's like I have to watch it immediately. Melanie, what about you?
So I recently watched the Jane Austen book club, and that's where they all get together and read the same. I'll read the Jane Austen novels, and then there's the one guy who kind of weans his way into the book club with them. So I thought that was really cute. It was because it was a rom-com mixed with a book club and how this kind of unconventional friendships happen surrounding this book. And as far as something with strong female friendships, the Dairy Girls. I love the Dairy Girls right now.
Funny.
And it's such a cute, plus it's like, it's from like the 90s. So all the music and the clothes, I feel very represented, even though it's Northern Ireland. So the Dairy Girls. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. So a few recent shows. One of them is done. New Girl, I really loved because that did start out with all of them just as friends, and then obviously they all start to pair off. But yeah, that, and then I really love Insecure, the show by Issa Rae on HBO. It's so much fun.
Yeah.
And it shows it really has, its Black female friendship is like at the center. It's the core of the story. And then also on Netflix, I really liked Sweet Magnolias. I thought it was.
Oh my gosh, I just finished that. I love that show. I completely forgot.
Yeah. And that really, and again, that is the center of the show, are these 3 women who are just really good friends and they're there for each other no matter what. Okay, thanks everyone for participating in the shots. That's the fun part. It's the speed round. I love it.
Steel Magnolias and When Harry Met Sally were 2 favorites of the friendship movies of the group. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, those are great. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
So good.
Sweet magnolias. Okay, got it. So now we're going to move on to the full bottle. So Tiff, we're going to kind of do a deep dive into your book and some general questions. We'll incorporate everyone. We will have the chat going. It's going to be great. So Tiff, tell us about In a Book Club Far Away. Where did the idea originate? And, just give us kind of the general overview.
So In a Book Club Far Away is contemporary women's fiction. It's about 3 women, and the story is told over 2 timelines, present time and 10 years before. And these 3 women met at a upstate New York duty station where they bonded very, very quickly over book club during their spouse's deployment. Something happens in the past and they get back together. They reunite in the present because one of the 3 called an SOS and the other 2 come together not knowing that the other is going to be there. So then we kind of see their entire friendship and what happened in the past that caused their friendship to break apart, and then them coming together in a span of a week and a half to try and figure out if they can move on with this friendship. So the inspiration for this are the combination or sometimes the intersection of my military spouse friends and my book club friends. They have really grown me. I'm originally from San Francisco, but I haven't lived in San Francisco in like 23 years. I left for the Army with my husband and then haven't been home except to visit, a week or 2 at a time. So these folks really raised me. My book club, my military spouse, they're the ones that, like, when my husband was deployed, they're the ones that changed my fire, the chirping alarm because I can't reach it. Or one time I had bees in my house, and then my friend Kim, she lives in the apartment below. I was like, help me, please. And then she came up. They're not bees, they're wasps. And she killed all of them. I mean, come on. And one time, like, something happened to my car and somebody had to come and jump it. All of these things, they have really made such a huge impact in my life. And I really wanted to write a story for them just because there's so much told about military folks, but I think not enough of the ones that are home. And Army Wives did a really great job, but that was before 9/11, and operational tempo has increased since then. And we just live in a different, I guess, span of this whole thing. So I really wanted to write it for them. And then for me too, because it made me feel like, okay, I am all right. This is fine.
Yeah, no, I love how I guess I didn't know. I mean, I knew just from reading your bio and following you on social media about your background and being in a military family and your experience in the military, but I had no idea it was so personal. That's really special.
Yeah, I've been a military spouse for like 24 years. I cannot believe how fast time has flown. When we left for college and, my husband and I went to Germany, we were just kids, lieutenants, burning our meals in this tiny apartment. And then like 20 some years later, here we are. And I've met so many folks along the way who have really made a difference. And usually it's through book club, because book club is like a safety place, because you have something to read. So you have something to contribute, right? I'm an introvert, and you have something to carry with you. So it's like a, safety measure, because I know I can read books and I know that I can talk about books. So that's always been a comfort to be able to do that with strangers in the beginning.
Definitely. That is really wonderful. So as you kind of talked about, book clubs are such a good reason to just like hang out with friends. And whether you read the book club or you read the book club selection or not, and I think there's always that person at book club who just does not read the book ever. They just come hang out. That is not me. I always read the book because I'm a nerd. But Melanie already gave us her amazing book club memory. I don't know how we're going to top it.
No.
I know. So starting with you, Tiff, I want to ask you if you have any fond book club memories.
My God. I mean, come on, Melanie, really just,
I know.
hit it out of the park. I would have to say there was one book club. We were talking about Station 11. It's a sci-fi. It's actually a pandemic book.
Yeah.
So it's, it's a twin timeline. What happened, not twin timeline, but before and after, before the pandemic, then 20 years later. But it struck up such a chord in our group. It was like a full on almost argument in our group. And, we're like really easygoing. I would say that was probably the most memorable.
Yeah. Oh my God.
And it was such a, it was such a mellow book, but it stirred up so much emotion.
Yeah.
And here we are in a pandemic.
I know, I agree. That's one of my favorite books. And
yeah, same.
I have like thought about rereading it, but I'm just like, I don't think I'm in the right mind frame to read a book about a literal pandemic. So
yeah.
Angelina, do you have any book club memories that you want to share?
I really don't, unfortunately. Like, I mean, again, like I've got like a mafia lover firemen to deal with. So, but I want to tune in with the chat real quick. A.D. Duncan said military spouse book clubs have been my best places too, especially the one with Tiff. So,
yay, hello.
And then Denise Ivy said, I was in Grafenwehr.
Wow.
Germany from 96 to 99.
Oh my gosh, I was in Heidelberg, Germany, Mannheim, Heidelberg from 98 to 2002.
Cool. Yeah, awesome.
Yeah,
so
if you had a baby between 98 and 2002, I probably helped deliver it. So I was a nurse there. So just in case anybody out there.
Cool. That's awesome.
Yeah, I love these connections. I will say I'm going to be vague because I don't want to be mean, but I think our most memorable book club discussions are when no one likes the book.
Oh, yeah.
We all just kind of say like, we all just kind of like let go. So yeah, I'm not going to name names for the books. This is a safe space.
Oh, I'll name a name.
Author friends. No, I'm not. But I will say I've definitely been like, nope, didn't even finish that. Like we just say, yeah. So
We all hated Eat, Pray, Love. There, I said it. We were at the book club that I was in. We remember the restaurant, and we all were looking at each other. And finally, I was the one to be like, I hated this. And then everybody felt like they could, like it was like the air let out of the balloon.
Exactly. That's kind of what happens. Everyone kind of walks in, and you don't want to be disappointing to the person who picked the book. But usually the person who picked the book too was like, I didn't even like this, but so it all works out.
I mean, I still love the concept, but no.
Yeah.
Can I just say, like, there's so much pressure being the person to pick the book. I mean, I'm always like skirting, like whenever they're like, who's next? I'm like, not me, because the pressure is real to pick a book that is going to live up to these people that you probably have gotten to know. So, their tastes and whatnot. So.
In our book club, they would say, well, it was a fun read. As if it was only a valid read if it was truly miserable. If you were miserable, then it counted. But so I obviously have all kinds of baggage that had nothing to do with the book club. It was all me. But I was just so like, wow, why does reading have to make you so unhappy? But I would feel bad when they would say that to somebody. I'd be like, it's so picking the book is a lot of pressure.
It really is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so my next question is it's more broad than what we talked about in the shots, but I want to know, what do you think makes a good or a great book club book? What are some of the elements that you think should be in that type of book?
I think there has to be like some relevance to today, some relevance to the how they say like science fiction, for lots of folks, they want science fiction that's grounded in reality and somewhat, and then that it makes it more accessible. I think that with any of the genres, like if we can talk about how it affects us today, I think that's what makes a good book club book.
Yeah.
That's an interesting point. Because I was thinking like, what books did we and did my group like kind of dig into the most? And The Husband's Secret, I think by Leanne Moriarty. That was one that like my mom's group, like we all could be like, something about that book we could all kind of relate to those characters within the story, and we all had like a a grounding place to kind of come
Mhm.
from. I don't.
You really get to know people, in these book clubs. It's
Which
it's
one of you
always
thinks you're gonna have a husband who's got
I
like
know.
a confession letter in their attic?
I know, you're like, "Ooh." And it's like what happens or what you hear in book club like stays in book club basically. But yeah, like if I feel like it brings out like emotion when you're bringing it back to the present.
Yeah.
So I just read Alyssa Cole's Thriller.
Oh
And
yeah.
that was a good
No
fit
one
with
was
my book.
watching.
Yeah.
I still have to read that. I want to read that. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a hit with our book club as well because we were really able to talk about like neighborhoods. We're here in the DC area, and we were able to talk about just gentrification in general and social issues and things like that. And it's nice because it's a grounding, like you said, Melanie, it's like a grounding spot. And it doesn't feel so hard to talk about because it's in the context of a plot that's already taken place.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
Monica Murphy had a great point. She said, she's in a library book club. She said, you always know when people don't like it because they don't show up. And that's a good point. Like you just give it. And then Cheryl Jackson, who some of you might know, Cheryl Jackson said our neighborhood book club has 4 sets of mother-daughter sets. It's interesting because a lot of books deal with mother-daughter relationships or issues about how you were raised. So awkward.
yeah.
Which I wouldn't
like
want to be in a
that.
book club with my mom.
I want to do no. Okay, no, I don't want to do it with my mom. I want to do it with my daughter. But you probably
Yeah.
feel
Are you
same.
sure?
Like, I don't want to do it with my mom.
You might not want to hear Melanie. Like I'm always like, oh, I just hope that I'm doing okay. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm like,
I mean, as the person in this, impromptu mother-daughter book club, that is my mom.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is really interesting because then sometimes you do have these books where you're, it's like, and then their questions are very pointed. Like,
yeah,
can you point to a time in your childhood when you felt similarly to this terrible thing?
yeah,
Like whoever's making these questions,
yeah,
not thinking about this.
yeah.
But I do want to say, I think Leanne Moriarty writes really great discussion books because I was going to mention Big Little Lies. Like I think we talked about Big Little Lies for like 2 or 3 hours. It was just like in the back and forth, and it's like you understand this person, and then by the end you hate that person. Your mind changes depending on the perspective. So yeah, so I want to switch gears a little bit because In a Book Club Far Away also tells a story of 3 military wives and the way their friendships change over the years, Tiff. And like we mentioned that you've been both an Army nurse and an Army wife. So can you give a little bit more insight into how your real life influenced this book?
Yeah, I think about friendship a lot because we move all the time. And you make such solid friendships, and then you have to say goodbye physically, even though you're going to see each other like online or whatnot, virtually and or text. But it really, time plays out who your friends are going to be.
Yeah.
And so I really wanted to explore that. And does time heal wounds? Does time forgive? What makes it that a friendship that maybe is that is light in your life lasts forever? And why are some friendships that are so heavy in that moment are a flash in the pan? So it really was it's something that I continuously think about. I mean, I'm moving again in 2 months, and I have friends here, and I think about like, how do I make sure that I maintain this relationship with them? And will they not judge me if I'm suddenly super busy and suddenly 6 months pass and I didn't text them? So I really wanted to explore that because of the constant movement and the stress. And the thing is too, is like when you go to a new place and it's you're there for a common reason, such as the military, you excuse a lot of things as well, right? So you have that dynamic where you come together and you're like, we're here for 2 years, let us work together so we can all survive this. But how much of that person do you really know?
Yeah.
And how much are you willing to accept? So that's, I think about that a lot. And in this book, I was really able to play it out. So, these 3 women, they have to figure out like, is the past and the time since enough for me to reconcile?
Yeah.
So you have to forgive. Like, how much can you really forgive?
Right. And it's like with all of those friendships too, that's not even like the hardest part of what they're going through either, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so important, but
Yeah.
then you also have all these other things. You've got kids, you've got family, you've got people deployed, and you don't know when you're going to talk to them next. So yeah, it's kind of tumultuous, like almost like internally tumultuous too.
Yeah. And the thing is too, is that friendships for me, like when they break up, I've had very, very few friendship breakups.
Mhm.
I'm like very lenient with a lot of things. Like I'm very accepting. And I've had very, very few breakups, but those breakups have been hard.
Yes.
They have been, and they have happened since I've been married. So I'm with my spouse, right? I am attached romantically and I have children and I love them. But still that moment is so hard, right?
Yeah.
Because you're letting go of somebody and saying, oh, I'm not just going to pretend that you're not there. This is a real thing. Like we're not, you aren't good for me, or this isn't right for now, that kind of thing. So,
Definitely.
but yeah, because it is important. I think that relationships are so important, like my author friends, like they are like the lifeline. I feel like it's in romance even, I really look for those friendships too, because I want to see that my character and or other characters are maintaining these relationships with other people, because that kind of lets you know how they're going to treat you as a romance partner.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. So earlier you mentioned Army Wives as being a pretty good representation of Army wife life.
Yeah.
Do you have any other pop culture recommendations for people to get kind of an insider look?
Yeah, Army Wives is probably the closest. There is this movie called what is it? We Were Soldiers Young. We were soldiers once and young. That's with Mel Gibson. It's about the Vietnam War, but there was like a little section where all the spouses were at home and they were kind of like, oh my gosh, there are people dying. Like, how do we do this? How do we show up for one another? And that was a good representation to me of the stress of that, as well as have you guys seen Astronaut Wives or read Astronaut Wives?
I see. I'm watching it. No, I don't know if that's what it's called. No, I'm watching something else. Sorry. I'm watching a show about wives becoming astronauts.
Okay.
Sorry.
So Astronaut Wives are the wives of the first astronauts. And it's basically them in this little community just trying to figure out, like, okay, my husband does this, my spouse does this, and they're the ones that are in the limelight. Like, we've got to keep it together. But of course it's so dated, right? Because we are not in the 1950s or whenever that happened, right? Like we are now. So that's why it was so important to me as well. Like, I'm looking for these things, just like how I'm looking for other Filipino authors out there. Hello. It's just that thing where you're just searching. And now Claire Gibson, who wrote Beyond the Point, wrote a great book as well about lieutenants at West Point who become, it follows them and their friendship. So that's a good one too.
Awesome. So like we've been talking this entire time, especially bringing in book clubs, we've been talking about friendships. And I loved in a book club far away, kind of the unconditional support. So even though out of this group of 3 friends, 2 of them haven't spoken in almost 10 years, but as soon as they get that SOS text message, they are on a plane or driving in their car and they are there for their really good friend. And like you also mentioned, breaking up with a friend is really hard. So instead of talking about something like that, I want to give you an opportunity to give a shout out to your friend group. And it could be Army Wives, it could be other authors, whoever you want to give a big shout out to.
Oh my gosh, all my girlfriends, hello. You know who you are.
Yeah.
I mean, they know. I mean, Sandy's out there. She's out there. And of course, there's Girls Right Night. They're the ones that are like my every single day, like every 1K I check in, they are, Jeanette Escudero, April Hunt, and then Annie Raines and Rachel Lacey. They're all authors. And then, of course, there's Bat Signal. That's like a whole slew. And then you've got 5 a.m. Writers Club, who is there for me in the mornings. But it's really innumerable, like, because as part of moving, I've also learned that that friendship doesn't have to be totally deep to be able to draw from. So like, Angelina and Melanie and Danielle, I mean, like, we touched on different times, and still it all matters to me, kind of fills me up. So, but yeah, I think
I love that. Yeah. So let's keep talking about friendship a little bit. And this one we all can answer, but what have you been doing during the pandemic to stay connected to your friends? And everyone in the chat, you should answer this too, because we all need ideas. I know there is a bright spot on the horizon with vaccine being distributed and everything, but
so
we
excited.
keep safe. So let's figure out some safe ways to stay connected. So Tiff, let's get you start.
Okay, so I'm a total planner nerd. Okay, so just letting you know. So I have a little square that is F for friends. And I try to, mark that off every day that I contact one friend a day.
That's
wow.
And then,
and
even if it's just a text, because I'm actually thinking about them at some point, and then I forget, right? But whenever the square comes out, in my little planner, I'm like, oh, let me just go text right now. And usually it's just a flyby. Hey, I miss you or something. And then they don't respond. I'm cool with that. If they respond, that's great, but I try to reach out that way.
That's amazing. I'm going to put this in my planner, like right now. Here,
it's in one of the, how those hashtag boxes, the bullet journals.
I love it. Yeah. Angelina, what about you? What have you been doing to stay connected?
I moved in the course of the pandemic. So I moved from DC to Houston. And so like, there is no, I've made a couple of friends here, but there's like no, my long-term friends are like away. And so we will regularly schedule, like we have a call and then like, okay, in 2 weeks, we're going to schedule the next call. Like we keep it scheduled and keep it going. But like, Tiff, you got you are, we all wanted you on the show. And one of the reasons is because you do make such an effort to connect to authors and support the world, and you do it with so much integrity. And there's a lot to be learned from you, because I can go into my writing dungeon and stay pretty comfortably for like months on end, and then the Boozy Book Broads makes me like shower and like put my head up.
I love that.
I like so admired about you, because it's so heartfelt and authentic, and to get like be in your glow, it just feels like it's very warming. So I have felt the special kind of glow of being in the Tiff Marcelo friend group,
so
and it's been really, really, and it's something to learn from too, because it's easy in a pandemic under deadline to forget about the importance of that. And so it's lovely. You remind us how important it is.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate
You're
that.
welcome.
Melanie, what have you been doing to keep connected to your friends?
I think I need to, I would try to do Tiff's little square thing, but I know myself, and it would just, I would end up mad at myself.
It'll be like my exercise block. It's like not at all. I'd be like,
I'm pretty, and
I'm good at texting. The other thing.
I'm pretty good at that one. When it was warmer out, we were able to do outdoor things, and I was able to, and luckily quite a few of my oldest daughter's friends, I'm friends with their mom, so it works out really well that we kind of do it like she has her friends and then I have, so it works out really well that way. So we were able to kind of double date, so to speak, during the pandemic. But like winter, it's just been like a long, cold, lonely winter. And I just finally, it was like a turtle popping its head out, or a prairie dog or something, where I was like, oh my gosh. And I emailed like my group of friends, and it had been months since we'd talked, and I was like, I realized the last time we had actually seen each other in person, like out somewhere real, was to celebrate one of their birthdays last March. And so I just sent an email to all of them, thinking of you all, miss you all. It was, I think, because it's so easy just to kind of like, you get entrenched, like Angelina was saying, especially with writing, you really get entrenched, and then you just kind of don't poke your head out to see the rest of the world. So the Boozy Book Broads has also been a bit of a lifeline for me. And
I-
Danielle is really great about sending sweet little notes in the mail. Just little
Oh,
notes. And I love it. And because I mean, I'm all about sending little presents here and there, just for fun, just to say, hey, I'm thinking of you. But I do, yeah, it's hard because you miss those daily connections. So
So this is what Melanie made us for Christmas.
oh my gosh, how sweet.
They're Boozy Book Broad shot glasses.
That's
And I have it on my desk all the
Yeah.
time
Oh,
to remember
that's
that I have friends and I need to
I love that.
like appreciate them.
I agree.
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
I was gonna say, Melanie-
I'm still thinking about Tiff's little friendship box. I think that is such a great idea.
I know. I'm gonna I have my bright pink planner. And I've got to put
Yay,
it.
planner. Is that a passion planner? What is that?
No, it's I think it's just called, it's like Clever Fox or something. Yeah, Clever Fox.
Okay.
Planner. It's not a bullet journal. I'm not that, I can't, but it okay. I don't want to turn this into like a
I know, because I can talk about it. Don't make me talk about it. I might show you my highlighters. Don't.
But yeah,
This is literally my calendar.
That's good.
you got one. That's all that matters.
Melody's like,
No.
It's like the gulag planner. I mean, it's just
I
like
have these. These are like Roku.
that's cute.
Those are cute.
Notice I haven't used them yet. I just like them.
That's really good. But yeah, so Melanie kind of gave, I do send notes. I send note cards and postcards and little things like that. But I also I send like long droning emails. My friends are probably like, they're like, yeah, that's great. Okay. Nice to hear from you.
Oh, that's sweet. I love
No,
that.
but I also I do have a kind of a core group of friends that I've met when, like, from my very first job. We were all super young, and we've kept in touch over the years, even though we've all got different jobs. But we have, for a while in the beginning, it was like every other Saturday or Sunday, we would just have we'd call it brunch, and we would just have a call.
oh,
Sometimes it would be like an hour because, we all had kids and we were all freaking out and we're like, I can't look at a screen anymore. Other times we're there all day.
I love it.
And it's
That's
wild.
great.
But it is, and it's like 4 of us and we just like sit and we chat and it's super fun. So that, and then it kind of tapered off once the pandemic kept going. But so now it's been about a month. Every other month, or we do it or so. So that's been fun. Angelina, are there any good answers in the chat?
so many good answers in the chat. So Robert said, I don't have many friends. You have all of us, Robert, and we love you. He said, but just who I work with, so they've been easy enough to keep in touch with. Everyone else is online. Diane Maraska said calls, surprise gifts, and text messages. Monica Murphy said during the pandemic, I have been online more, commenting on friends' posts to stay connected. Zoom, phone calls, group texts. A.D. Duncan said, texting my groups. As a military spouse too, I have some group texts that keep us all connected. Like we have Mom of College Kids group. I would love to join that group, FYI. So yeah, no, these are great. Like, and then people start talking about planners too. Like planners just takes over the conversation and I refuse.
I see Diane says she's got a clever fox. I'm excited.
Oh!
Excited. So I'm going to put out the last call. If you have any questions for Tiff or any of the broads, please do put them in the chat and Angelina will read them out even in a few minutes or a couple of minutes. I do want to say too, I forgot to announce at the very beginning that at the end of this broadcast, Angelina is going to choose a lucky commenter to win a $10 e-gift card to Love Sweet Arrow. So if you do have something to say, you should say it like right now. So Angelina, are there any questions from earlier?
There are. Yes, there are. So from Denise Tiff, and I don't know, and judge your comfort level whether you want to answer this. She said, where are you PCSing to?
Yeah, Fort Knox, Kentucky.
Fort Knox, Kentucky. Awesome.
Yeah, we have never been to Kentucky. We have never been to Fort Knox. So it will be an experience. But my heart is open and I can't wait to meet everybody there. So
that's awesome. A.D. Duncan said, any certain type of book you prefer for a book club, Tiff, or one that generates best discussion. So certain type of book.
A certain type of book. I don't think there is a certain type of book. I think any book can be a wonderful book club, book club book. You mentioned Chloe Brown, Melanie. That is such, like, I agree. That is such a great book club book because there's so much empathy there that it can be brought out and talked about. And I would say, yeah, I talked about thriller and women's fiction. I mean, yeah, any book. I just think it has to be grounded in some kind of discussion, I think.
Cheryl Jackson, I think this would be for all of us. Tell us about an annoying book club member. What did she do that great? I guess it should be past book clubs.
Yeah, it should.
You know, I'm going to say this. I know who she wants me to talk about, and I'm like, I'm going to try to be nice.
Your mom is bad. I like her.
Yeah.
I literally would have said that this one lady, because she just had the superior sense of books, I would have said like instantly. And then again, like one of my most ardent supporters and just and really loving the books. And I'm like, I was the bad one. So yeah, it's been lovely interacting with her. And like, you know, I don't know if I introduced her to romance, but I get the impression she didn't read a lot beforehand. So yeah. So yeah, you can learn, and I can grow as a very old 47-year-old lady.
I think broadly speaking,
nobody specific.
No, I just think it's kind of, there's that person, like you said, who's like has kind of a superior sense of the book that they pick being the best book. And then when not even everyone, when one person doesn't love it, it kind of brings the whole book club down, because you're just like, well, now we have to listen to why it's so amazing, you know, and it's just
well, they take it personally. Yeah.
Exactly. And you can't with books. And I think as authors, of course, we want everyone to love our books. We want the whole world to love them and to buy them, but we know that you can't please everyone. And I think the same goes even when you're reading a book, you know, it's just, but it is
actually, I think as an author, being in book clubs and hearing people come at a book from different places and reacting to it differently helps give you some perspective when you do get different opinions on your books, because there's so many other pieces to a reaction to a book that you can't control as an author, that are out of your hands. So I think it helps when you hear these discussions, and
I agree.
We've got a couple more questions, and a great one is, Tiff, can you recommend more Filipino writers? I'm always looking for more Filipino writers to read. Does it necessarily have to be romance?
Yeah, so I mentioned Jennifer Hillier. She's Filipino-Canadian. Joanne Ramos is also, her book, The Farm, they comp that to The Handmaid's Tale, but it's not quite as creepy. So it's, I would say, psychological thriller, perhaps. And then of course, you've got the staples of romance. You have Mia Hopkins, you have Maida Malby, and you've got Sarah Smith. You've also have Roselle Lim in women's fiction. You've got Mia, I don't remember her last name, but Mia's coming up with Adobo and Arsenic, which is a cozy mystery.
Oh, that book I read like a teaser chapter a month ago, and I can't. It's
going to be amazing. I just feel it, like it's just, and all the reviews that are coming out. I'm so excited to read it. And then there's a women's
book club pick.
Yeah, and there's an indie women's fiction author. Her name is Mon Gabrielle, and she's indie, and she's coming up. And I'm hoping I'm not missing anybody. And then you've got the whole contingent romance class, of course, in the Philippines. So if you were to put that in Amazon, you can just put romance class, and all of their titles should pop up. So
romance class, I'm writing them down. Okay. So everybody, I'm writing them down. Forgive me if I get spelling wrong of names, but I'll give you a place to start with.
And I hope I'm not missing anybody. These are all my, the romance Filipino authors are just, they're precious to me. And we're just trying to remain there for one another. And of course, we want to see more. So Oligaya Day, of course. And she writes YA. You've got Randy Rebay, and then you've got May Respicio, and she writes middle grade. And of course, Erin Entrada Kelly, who is a Newbery winner. So that's a must read author.
You know, I feel like my TBR pile just got bigger. I'm very, yes. Okay, do we have any other questions? I have one question I do want to ask because I think it's a fun one, but do we have any other chat questions?
No, other than there has been a plea for some Boozy book broads, whiskey glasses, or merch. So I know that
cool.
Melanie, there you are. Yes. So I think we're going to have to, Melanie has been the one that from the beginning was like, we need merch. And then I was like, we'll get to that. And
yeah,
and
we'll come up with a logo. They don't want to see our faces.
They do. Look at this. We do need a logo. That's right.
Okay, so this will be the final question. My final question is, if you could invite like any celebrity to your book club, who would it be? And I want the chatters also to answer because I think this is so much fun. All right.
I would say Jennifer Gardner.
Yeah.
Did I say that? Is that her? Yeah. Ben Affleck's ex, but better, Jen Gardner. So I just heard her in an interview today, in a podcast interview with Jen Hatmaker. And Jen Gardner is so lovely. Like, she's so much fun and just like laughs a lot. She would just be a perfect book club person.
She's a really good Instagram follow. If anyone wants someone to follow on Instagram, she shares recipes. And
I feel like I would feel so incompetent if I followed her on Instagram.
No, she's super fun. You'll love it. You'll love her. She's super funny too. She's really fun.
Someone has I just saw the chat. Someone had a really good suggestion, but I'm not room moms.
No, go for it. No, say it.
Monica Murphy said Michelle Obama. That would be a great.
Oh, well, yeah. I would just be nervous the whole time.
That would be me if Oprah showed up. I would be like, I can't.
What do you say?
What
do you say? Or who do you want to invite?
This question has got me complete, everybody.
I know who I want, but it's not possible.
But it's would it just I'm still such a fan, would it just be a hot guy celebrity? So I don't care if you're smart, just stand there and I'll stare at you. Or would it be a woman who would enrich me? This is Sophie Choice. I can't.
Book club
everybody.
And then the after hours book club.
Yeah, no, exactly. Is it the whiskey book club? And that was it's a very overwhelming. You can't even. No, a lot of you.
I would like to have. If in a perfect world, I could have Carrie Fisher, but you can't.
Yeah, so. That would be. Oh my God, that would be amazing.
So smart and witty and cutting with her observations. And
that is great. That's really good. I was just gonna say Beyonce because I'm obsessed with Beyonce.
Those are such good answers. Chat said Condi Rice. Amazing. I don't know how to say his last name. Milo Ventimiglia, the guy from
Gilmore Girls.
Yeah, and what's the newest one? Mainly because I want to feel like I'm talking books with Jess.
Yeah.
I want to be in a book club with Talia Hibbert.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are all so good. Yeah, all of them. I would pick everyone that everyone else picked. Yeah, it's hard to pick.
This was such a great chat, everyone.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, our end of the night run through. Everyone, don't forget to head to lovesweetarrow.com. You can find out about new events. I'm going to talk about one in just a second because it's special. But also head there. You can get the Equal Opportunity Orgasms mug for 15% off with the code BBB March discount. Also check out, they've got more events coming. I know there's stuff in the works. Next week, there is an extra special, super fun, extra Boozy book broads on Friday, March 26th at the very special time of 5 p.m. Central, because we talked about this. We put up an episode to bid on during Romancing the Runoff, and we finally connected with our winner and we got it all squared away. So historical romance author Clive Rose is joining us. She's in Australia. That's why the time is kind of funny. So we are gonna have, but yeah, it's gonna be a little bit early. It is up on Eventbrite.
It's like pre-dinner drinks. We're having a pre-dinner cocktail.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And book chat.
So that's going to be really fun. And that again is next Friday. Tiff, is there anything that you want to shout out or give a boost to before we sign off?
Oh my gosh. Well, no, I thank you to all of you for having me. This has been amazing. And please, everyone, keep your ears out and take care of one another. Starting on Monday, a bunch of Asian American authors and I are, promoting a few things to promote this effort to put safety back in our community. So, but aside from that, thank you so much for having me. I really do appreciate it.
Fellow broads, do you have anything you want to promote before we sign off?
Go, Melanie.
Mad About Me Cutes this Sunday with Jenny Holiday. We're going to be chatting together at 2 p.m. Central on Instagram. So I'm excited. I love Jenny. She's lots of fun. So I can't wait to hear about her personal meet cute stories. And
You have a book up for pre-order.
I do have a book. Yes. And hopefully it's coming soon, probably if not by next week with our bonus episode, definitely by our April guest is Denny S. Bryce. I'm so excited for Denny.
Mm-hmm.
So Wild Woman in the Blues. But definitely by the time that we talk about Denny, I will have the information for the special pre-order gifts that I'm doing exclusively through Love Sweet Arrow. And Tiff, you have pre-order. You have a pre-order too, don't you? With the
yes. With belcantobooks.com, .net /shop. That is my pre-order for In a Book Club Far Away. And she's a Filipino American owned shop in Los Angeles. So yeah, that's it.
Yeah, so support.
What is it again?
Support Belcanto or support Love Sweet Arrow, either one.
Yes, and Love Sweet Arrow either way, for sure. And it is belcantobooks.net. But for both, like there's going to be signed book plates, and then with Belcanto books, there's going to be some stickers with them. So yeah,
very fun. Angelina, I know you're typing. Do you have anything?
I have a pre-order available as well. Serving Sin, my third book in the Filthy Rich series, is coming out May 25th, and you can pre-order that now if you're a book reviewer or bookstagrammer. That is on NetGalley. Serving Sin, the first book, Lush Money, is the Brown Nipple Challenge book for Nana Malone's book club, which is super exciting. So they're discussing that. We're discussing that April 1st. So get involved in that. And I want to pick a winner for our $10 gift certificate prize. Tiff, if you could pick a number between 1 and 15, that would be awesome.
12.
Okay. Diane Morosco is our winner. Diane, if you could, and what does she need to do, Danielle? Is she email us?
Yeah, send an email to boozybookbroads@gmail.com.
Okay.
And we will get it going because that's fun. Congrats, Diane. I just want to plug right before, because we're a little over, but that's fine. I just want to plug the Fresh Fiction podcast. The first episode did go up last month. We had a little bit of, there was a lot of scheduling things happening throughout the rest of February and March. But yeah, the next episode, I will give you guys an exclusive. We have an interview with Lauren Willig, which was so much fun. And that will be up this coming Wednesday. So you can subscribe to it on your favorite podcatcher. Subscribe and rate and review. It's really funny. You hear people say that on podcasts, and now I have to say that. It's weird. It's been so much fun to do it. So yeah, we've got a lot of great guests, including some familiar faces that are on your screen right now coming up. So it's going to be loads of fun. Anyway, thank you, Tiff, so much. This was amazing. I really hope everyone goes out. I've read her book. It's awesome.
Thank you
Please
so
go
much.
pre-order it and read it. And let's give one last cheers before we sign off, everybody. Cheers.
Cheers.
All right.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much, Tiff.
Good night, everyone.